a lot. See you soon.
All right, so that was Jane's one-on-one there with a travel expert when it comes to impacts of the shutdown. As far as air travel, I know a lot of questions are being asked about that, and so as we learn more, of course, we will update you here on Live Impact News and here on WCNC Plus. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about Election Day. So some big races, not only across the country but here locally in Mecklenburg County. 1 cent sales tax. Transit referendum. I feel like it has a few different names on the ballot. A lot of folks talking about it, and we spoke with a lot of people, voters specifically, about this referendum. A lot of thoughts on, and people seem split. Obviously, you can't talk to everybody in Mecklenburg County.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be impossible. But the folks we spoke with felt strongly about it either or. It passed. Mm-hmm. And I guess the logical question, Julie, by the way, that's Julie K. What's next? What are you hearing?
So I'm glad you brought up the reaction from voters, because it was, I want to be clear, 52% of people voted for it, meaning that an upper 40s voted against it. So
yeah, it's pretty split. Yeah.
Almost half of Mecklenburg County,
Yeah.
at least the voters, the people who decided to go out on this kind of off-year election, are going to be pretty passionately upset about this. People were very passionate on either side. Today, though, we're finally getting to kind of peel the curtain back and say, okay, now what? We've talked about all these hypotheticals, but we actually now have to do it. The work for City Council in particular, I would say starts right now, but it's actually already been going on, assuming that this was going to pass. So it was actually very close for them. Imagine they've already started all this work, it almost didn't pass. And that's kind of what Malcolm Graham, City Councilman Malcolm Graham, talked about today. He sat down with reporters for about an hour and talked about all sorts of things going on, crime, taxes, but largely transit. And of course, just the overall outcome of the elections, some interesting mix-ups in council that will be a part of this conversation going forward when we talk about transit. But basically the big thing right now is the current council has to decide on 7 seats of this 27-seat transit authority. That transit authority is going to decide which projects are prioritized from the funding that is generated from the sales tax. So it's a whole lot of moving pieces. It's not just like, all right, this is happening. We do know, based on the state legislation, that 40% of it has to go to light rail, 40% has to go to roads, and 20% has to go to buses. But which projects amongst those can be decided by this transit authority. So they're already, today and tomorrow, I believe, they're sifting through applications. I think there's just under 140 applications. So they've got their work cut out for them. And then interviews will be next week. There is a 3-person council panel that's been kind of leading this process, but I'm expecting all council members to be in at least most of these, and all council members will be a part of that vote to decide who their 7 appointees are on November 24th. So this process is going to happen very, very fast for them. We've also got some seats from Mecklenburg County commissioners. A couple came from the General Assembly. And so there's lots of moving parts here, but the big thing now is, okay, we're going to have this money eventually. Who's now going to be in charge of making these huge decisions about how we spend it?
And folks who are going to be in the public eye when it comes to this, because this is a decades-long project. This is not something that's going to, yes, it's passed, but it's not something that's going to happen next year, overnight.
And that's a big question too, because, well, the board has to be in place by January 1st. That is why we're kind of rushing and why they even started the process before it was passed. We didn't know. But the state legislation says it has to be in place by January 1st. They're not even going to start, you're not going to see your taxes go up, your sales tax go up in Mecklenburg County until, I think it's July, so the summer. So they're going to be in place for 6 months deciding things before we even have this tax coming out of people's budgets. So a lot of moving parts here. We don't know what that's going to look like. Malcolm Graham said really the first 6 months to a year is going to be this foundational stuff. Because there's still things we haven't even talked about, even little things like, what are the buses going to be called? Are we going to still go with CATS, or is it going to be like MPTA, Metropolitan Transit Authority? Like, are we going to change naming? Like, some things that I'm like, oh, I wouldn't think that's important, but like they have to make that decision probably now. So I know a lot of moving pieces. One of the biggest things, of course, people want to know about is the red line. both the mayor this morning and Malcolm Graham addressed that at their separate press conferences. Kind of just, yes, that's a priority. We don't know when that will happen. We've already purchased the tracks, of course, but actually getting all that built is a years-long process. So that's going to be, I think, the biggest thing, of course, that we're following in the coming years.
And a few new council members on top of that. So it's not like we're talking about the same council that, where it started to pick up momentum and steam that's carried over. I mean, we're talking about what? Correct me if I'm wrong, 3 new council members?
District 5, District 3, District 6. I think that's it. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Interesting, though, because District 6 flipped for the first time from red to blue. And so we're actually going to have more Democrats, a different split than usual. We'll still have one Republican, Ed Driggs, in, I believe, District 7. But that changes things as well, just in terms of... And it will be interesting to watch, how does council work with the MPTA? How closely entwined are they? That is one of the things that Malcolm Graham was like, we will see. That's kind of that foundational stuff we're working with over the next year. I think what's interesting, though, is on council, at least, the people picking the transit authority, not all of them will be on council come January 1st,
Yeah.
So they're going to make this decision by November 21st for 3 of them to no longer be on council. So that's interesting, too. And the mayor's seat gets 2 seats to choose, and she won her reelection, but if she didn't, she'd be picking 2 seats and then she'd be gone, So that's part of it too, of like, we're making these decisions with a council that won't exist in that way in a month.
Interesting. It's I mean, it's just and there were other obviously interesting races, but again, this was the big talker. It passed. We had the map up of the decision. I think James brought it up. We have it right here on the screen.
Julie made a mention of not being able to talk to every voter in Mecklenburg County. Well, Julie, there's one precinct where it was tied. I'd be curious to talk to those people.
Do we know which one that was?
Yeah, let's see. If I mouse over it, I think it will tell us. It's like the Pineville area. I think I'm on it right now.
Wow.
587 votes, 50-50.
Wow.
That's
right
kind of
here
fun.
in South Mecklenburg County.
Rare that you see an actual 50-50.
That is
so
a
fun.
50-50.
Interesting.
Man, okay.
Well, thank you for that pitch for another day, James.
You're welcome. There's a
yeah.
finder's fee associated with it.
But yeah, it's a lot of interesting races. City council, mayor, all very important, but it almost all wraps into transit, as everything does right now.
What if you don't mind me asking, what race did you cover last night? I feel like you cover everything, so I have to ask you. It's hard to keep up with.
I actually just sat here and I talked the whole time. I'm not even kidding. Like I would just pop in and say stuff.
Okay.
But I did cover at our 11 p.m. newscast. I covered the sales tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, Julie covers everything politics here, so I'm like, what did Julie cover? Okay, so she covered everything plus 1 cent sales tax. Got it. I'm sure we'll bring you in for something else coming up shortly, politics-wise, including this transit referendum that the ball is already in motion. So, Julie, thank you. Before we go, when can folks catch your story tonight? 4
and 5 both will focus on kind of the process for that, picking those people. 5 will get into a little bit more of the red line.